If you want to get rich in the stock market, follow this one very important principle. Buy companies with powerful network effects. In this video, we're going to explain what is a network effect, what to consider when analyzing a network effect of any company you might be wanting to buy, and then also rip through a bunch of examples of mostly good and some bad network effects that are out there. If you're new here, welcome to the channel, The Paper Bag Investor, where we're always looking for the next multi-bagger investment for your portfolio. Don't take my advice. Nothing here is personal financial advice. I have been investing since about 2009 with about a 30% compound annual growth rate over that time. If you get value out of this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, please, if you enjoy this video, smash that thumbs up button, smash that like button. It really helps me out, helps the YouTube algorithm. And if you really enjoy this video, really enjoy my content, feel free to join my Patreon group. So today we're talking about network effects, a general investing principle when trying to analyze or look at a company. So what is a network effect? First off, what is a network effect? A network effect is when the value grows exponentially as a network or system grows. So the value can be to the network users themselves and or to the owners, operators of the network, maybe the shareholders of the company, or to both parties. And in generally, the value is actually going to go to all stakeholders, so customers and users of the network and also owners of the network. A couple things to consider when analyzing a network effect are: how durable is this network effect, and can it even reach what I call a runaway network effect, or kind of escape velocity network effect, where there's really nearly impossible for anybody else to catch them. That's the best kind of network effect you ideally want. And then, so how durable is it? And then number two, how valuable is the network effect? Now I want to rip through a bunch of examples of different companies that have powerful network effects. So first up, let's talk about Facebook. So Facebook has extremely powerful network effects. And these are the kind of network effects that Facebook has, or what people typically think of when they hear the word network effect. So Facebook really has that peer-to-peer network effect, where if you're the only person on Facebook, if you're the one person on Facebook, Facebook is completely useless. If people in your own social circles and spheres or outside of your social circles and spheres, so say there's 100 people in Timbuktu who are on Facebook, but you don't know any of those people in real life, you don't care to talk to any of those people in real life, then Facebook's not very useful. Again, not useful at all if the people in your actual physical, world network that you want to connect with are not on Facebook. It's completely useless. But as soon as those people that you do know, that you do want to connect with, start to become on Facebook, the more and more of those people that are on Facebook, the more valuable Facebook becomes to you as the user, because you have those people you can share your pictures with, you can talk with, you can communicate with, you can find lost friends and relatives and send them messages, etc., blah blah blah, do all those things as a user. And as Facebook, the company, it becomes more and more useful, because people in those networks want to continue to use those same networks. So it's an extremely powerful network effect. Of course, for Facebook, it's valuable because they're directing their attention and time there and energy there, so they can feed them, and also data about what they like and interests they have, so they can use that to feed them direct advertising, targeted advertising. Extremely powerful for all stakeholders, extremely useful. If you saw this early days of Facebook, it was very obvious Facebook was going to be a massive, trillion-dollar company if you thought about these sort of network effects carefully. Okay, next up I want to talk about Google Search. So Google Search is not exactly like Facebook that is a peer-to-peer network, but Google Search is a whole pile of users connecting and inputting data into a network, and then funneling that, Google using that data to make the algorithm better and better. So Google Search, extremely powerful. There's other people trying to do Google Search, but people as a whole trust Google search. They find the user experience really easy, simple to use, and always gets a really good result. So people continue to use Google search. And then, of course, as I mentioned, Google uses your data. They're in their algorithm to know if you search for such and such a search query and then you find such and such a website and you spend more time on one website and not on the other, then they can tweak their algorithm so they get you the best results sort of on the front page right in front of you to what you really want to find, the information that's most relevant for you. And of course, the more they drive that, the more users use that. It's nearly impossible for somebody else. I would call this, again, like Facebook and like Google, I would call these both that sort of runaway escape velocity network effect, where it's nearly impossible for somebody else to come behind them and do the exact same thing better than they're doing. It's basically impossible for somebody to overthrow that exact niche that they're occupying. Okay, next up, I want to talk about Google's YouTube, another Google platform. So YouTube, again, has extremely powerful network effects because and again, I would say this sort of runaway escape velocity network effect where there's really no one can come along and try and replace Google at what they're doing with YouTube because they're so well established. They're so well established and the product is so good for the end user, so the end user can come find so many great videos on so many great topics. And because there's all the users are going to YouTube and they want to use YouTube as their number one kind of distributed content creator platform, then also the people that are creating content are motivated to create more content and better content, and more people are motivated to become content creators. So it's this incredible flywheel where there's content creators are motivated to feed the audience, and the audience is happy to continue using YouTube and no other platforms. Hello Vimeo or whatever that platform was called. I'm sure there's other video platforms that are out there that have tried to make sort of somewhat an effort or compete somehow, but really it's nearly impossible for them to compete with YouTube. If I could invest in not everything Google, but just in YouTube itself, I would probably invest in that. I would almost surely invest. Depends on the valuation, of course, but to me, it's basically impossible. It's hard to see even decades from now, YouTube just becoming a much bigger thing, and other people really overthrowing that in that exact niche would be very, very difficult to do. Another powerful network effect is Square's CashApp. So I'm bullish on Square. I own Square stock. I've talked about Square on my channel and kind of laid out my thesis. But I'm bullish on Square because of the CashApps, I believe, their potential network effects. So traditionally, you have lots of banks that people do banking, and all their banks are in different silos, and kind of everything in information-wise contained about your bank and your banking system and your money is under that silo of that bank. Then if you want to send money to somebody else who has money in another bank, you have to transfer money, and those banks have to communicate and trust each other and transfer the funds over. It's a bit of a process there, and sometimes fees involved. Depends, right? And sometimes time involved, maybe even just a few minutes to send a money transfer, but still takes a bit of time. But I'm bullish on the Cash App because they're basically making a more efficient, a lean, a better bank experience for the end user. But if they make that better bank, bigger kind of silo that encompasses more and more people, then suddenly more and more people you actually know might actually have a Cash App account, and you can send money back and forth extremely easily, extremely seamlessly. So that's kind of my thesis. That is my thesis on Square in a nutshell, and why I believe the Cash App could become a sort of the massive bank of the future, potentially. Tesla is another company with a few different layers, I would say, of network effects, of powerful network effects. One of them was their supercharging network. Literally, it's in the name network, supercharging network. In certain geographic areas, especially I live in Canada, so North America, where for myself as a Canadian who do lots of road trips, it's common to drive fairly long distances to go visit people maybe in other cities because we're so spread out. And I know in lots of parts of the U.S. this is very common as well. And even for Canadians to travel through the U.S. is common as well. So for all of those reasons, having a good, reliable an ever-expanding supercharging network would be extremely powerful reason to buy a Tesla and not another competitor's EV. If Tesla was to keep their supercharging network exclusive, I think this would be a very powerful network effect, especially in these markets, such as North America, would drive people to, okay, it's kind of a runaway network effect. Am I going to choose another EV or am I going to choose a Tesla? I'm going to choose a Tesla, and people are going to keep making that decision, which is only going to drive profits and revenue towards Tesla, which is only going to make that moat and make that network, even stronger. It'll give funnels money, funnels confidence to them to continue to invest and make the whole network and EV ownership experience even better. Of course, Tesla is not going to do that. They're planning to open up the supercharging network to other people because they believe it fits their mission better. I've talked about this on other videos, so I'm not going to talk about it in a lot of detail. But that would be one that could be huge, but Tesla's essentially going to give that up, which is fine. I understand some of the rationale there. Other network effects, though, around Tesla, I would say, is the mission of the company. So this idea that it's just such a historic mission and opportunity to do something so meaningful with your work that you're trying to transition the world to sustainable energy. That is extremely admirable mission and idea of what your work could encapsulate or what you could help accomplish as an engineer. So if you're one of the brightest, best, sharpest engineers out there, and you have the option of working at all number of different great opportunities, great companies, but then you have Tesla in front of you, to me that's a network effect in itself, that you're working with other fantastic people, other fantastic teams, and working towards a fantastic, historic mission like I'm describing. That's a network effect to draw the very best talent into Tesla, because you're going to have exciting, interesting work. You're going to actually get things done. And so then you actually do get things done and do exciting, interesting work. And because you're a part of a team that's accomplishing those kind of things, then the next guy who's the next brilliant engineer also is going to want to compete and try and get those jobs at Tesla and work at a place like Tesla. So to me, it's a sort of a talent network effect. They're executing so well that the best talent wants to work for them and work towards their mission. And then that keeps feeding that network effect, which talent, especially really, really brilliant engineering talent like that, is very, very rare and difficult to obtain, expensive to obtain. So to me, this is really, really powerful network effect, this sort of talent acquisition network effect that Tesla has, because they're executing so well and they have such an admirable mission. But I also say with Tesla, another extremely powerful network effect that could very well be like a extremely powerful runaway network effect is their full self-driving and trying to solve for vision, AI vision. So Tesla is trying to sort of solve full self-driving vision so that a car can completely understand the world around it and completely drive, eventually anywhere in the world. And I could see this becoming a runaway network effect, because Tesla has this huge advantage that all the data is fed back from their fleet of vehicles to them, so they can process the data and then make their full self-driving system better. They can do that over and over and over again. Essentially, since nobody else is doing that at the scale that they are, eventually, if they do solve full self-driving and then they keep making it even better, suddenly, if you're a consumer or you're someone who's trying to, are you going to decide, maybe, do I want to drive some other vehicle startups full self-driving beta testing program, or partial solution on certain highways or things like that? Do I want to take a vehicle like that that might be more expensive for me as a consumer to ride, or do I want to just drive a Tesla and take a Tesla robotaxi that's cheaper than owning a vehicle itself? You're almost always going to choose the already existing product that's out there and proven to be safer, the Tesla full self-driving robotaxi. And because people are always going to be then making that choice again and again and again, choosing the Tesla, it would become a runaway network effect where Tesla would get even more data, and make their system even more bulletproof, more safe, more streamlined, more perfect. And anybody else in sort of these lower tiers trying to even compete no longer has the option or the luxury that Tesla has right now of having people, willingly testing a beta product for them. So that could be a huge runaway network effect. I really think that could pan out where Tesla is sort of the only company that solves this generalized AI vision. Okay, another one, we're going to jump from Tesla now. Talked about them enough. I'm going to jump over to Lemonade, another company I'm really bullish on, is because Lemonade, because they have this very, very streamlined digital structure, streamlined system. This is an extremely powerful network effect. As the number of users of that system grows and they receive more data, they can make their own product, their underwriting products, better for those customers and better for shareholders and owners of Lemonade, because they can take all what I call the nuanced data, which this nuanced data is things like, what kind of Google search did you type in to arrive at the Lemonade website? Did you type, I want what's the cheapest insurance possible? Or did you type, trustworthy insurance for my home? Those are going to be two different types of people that are searching for two of those types of queries, and they're going to have different risk profiles. So Lemonade, what they can do is they take all this data, they stack it up, and they can basically create, or their plan is to create, better underwriting for the end customer, and so that customers that really are safer and should have better insurance rates on some products where they're able are actually going to have better and safe and better insurance rates. And if you're more dangerous, they should be able to price that more accurately so that you actually have to pay more if you're going to be more dangerous or you're a higher risk customer. Ultimately, that benefits everybody because it motivates customers to become better customers, and customers that are better customers can get products for cheaper, and it's a network effect for Lemonade themselves, because of course they can grow and scale and offer even better products that appeal to more and more people. So that could be extremely powerful network effect, potentially even sort of a runaway network effect if they were to scale fast enough. I'm not sure that will really happen with insurance, because there are restrictions around how much insurance risk you can take, how much you can underwrite, and how fast your company can really grow. So that's what I'll say about Lemonade. I want to give a few other examples about network effects. One just around branding. So I really believe that branding in itself, like a restaurant chain, let's think about Starbucks, for example, that it can be a network effect. So you might be wondering, okay, what is the network effect with Starbucks or any other kind of popular food chain, coffee chain? It's a network effect because as the number of Starbucks locations grow, they replicate themselves all over the planet Earth, which they've done. This becomes a network effect. This becomes valuable to the user, to the customer, because now if you like coffee and you've drank a cup of coffee at Starbucks, now you can go anywhere in the world where there's a Starbucks, and you know pretty certainly that you can walk into the Starbucks. There's going to be like the music, the atmosphere, the whole vibe of the place is going to basically be similar to any other Starbucks you've experienced. And the menu is actually going to be fairly similar to any other Starbucks you could go to. So you kind of know right away what to expect. And you don't have this kind of, as a consumer, you don't have to have any sort of leap of faith or trust in what you're trying or what the product you're going to get is. There's great confidence as a consumer, and that's kind of the value to the consumer, and reason why then you're going to go get a coffee at Starbucks rather than maybe you're in another city or place you haven't been before, rather than trying some random local hole-in-the-wall coffee shop that you're not sure about. It's going to be harder to trust that and easier to trust the brand that you know and trust. These kind of network effects from this sort of branding, they don't scale. I wouldn't say they're not as exponential as YouTube. YouTube being a network effect around the YouTube network effect that Google controls and has. But there still is a powerful network effect in branding itself that you can take a restaurant or you take a Chipotle, for example, and you replicate a burrito place, and suddenly everybody knows you can go to Chipotle and get this exact burrito and pick out this kind of flavors of meat and these toppings and these sauces and this sort of price at the end of the day. You know all that as a consumer, and so that's powerful as a consumer as it scales and grows. Anyways, those are a bunch of examples about network effects. I hope this illustrates what they are and gets you thinking about it in more detail. And really, the important thing to understand with network effects is to really understand what they're about for any company, any industry. I would say the most important thing is to actually try and understand the company itself in detail. If you can actually understand the business itself, like a business owner operator would understand, and you think about it in that kind of level of detail, then you're going to understand and see these potential network effects that might be arising, that could potentially be there, and whether they're going to grow into them, whether they could even reach a runaway network effect that could just really expand and grow over time. You're going to be able to see that and understand that. So it's really trying to understand at a business owner operator level how a business ticks and how an industry works, I think is the most important thing, or one of the most important things I think as an investor to try and grapple with. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that thumbs up while you're at it too. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear what you guys thought of this in the comments down below, so leave them there for us all to read, and I will see you in my next video. Remember, it's in the bag. Cheers.